There certainly has been a relatively low number of women in the venture industry. Traditionally, around 10 to 11% are professionals that are women, and about 4 to 5% that are partners. We see that there's, in the entrepreneurial ranks, particularly with the advent of social media and consumer focus over the last several years, there have been a number of women entrepreneurs that have come forward, and there's really been a swelling of women entrepreneurs in the ranks. And we think that in the venture industry, there's also an opportunity for a tipping point there as well. And Aspect Ventures and Theresia and I have an opportunity to be both thought leaders in our industry around diversity, but also in terms of role modeling and working closely with companies to help them understand the importance of different perspectives around the table and how that ultimately leads to better outcomes. So Aspect Ventures is focusing on the mobile category, but we think of mobile a little differently than our colleagues. We think of it very broadly. We think it's really a 10x opportunity over the early days of the internet, if not more. And we're thinking about it not just in terms of our devices that we carry in our pockets today, but really a multi-device connectivity everywhere world. And so we're thinking about the opportunities both up and down the stack in terms of application services, all the way down to the infrastructure and data layers, as well as security, which is a specialty area for Theresia, but then also across a number of verticals, which are being infused by that need for connectivity everywhere in a multi-device manner. So everything from how you manage information in your homes, to cars, to retail operations, to healthcare and healthcare devices, and both accessing and monitoring data. So we think of it very broadly, and we think it's an incredible opportunity. And so that's the area that we're focused on for our firm, and where we think some of the best entrepreneurs are emerging. Theresia and I have known each other for 25 years. We actually worked together on our first Bain & Company case team together. So, and when I first came out to join DFJ about 17 years ago, she was working in was a co-founder of one of our portfolio companies. And so I was a board observer with that. And when she thought about joining the venture industry, I was one of the first calls she made. And we talked through the industry and options and what was interesting about it. And so she joined Excel, and I joined DFJ when they were both very small groups and US-only firms, early and seed stage investing. And that's really where we grew up. And when we think about our companies and how we've invested, that's really the types of investments that we've enjoyed doing. We love working with companies through the full arc of their growth. And we're looking to building companies that are starting early with a great team, but also trying to build companies through a sustainable independent companies. And so our focus has been to go back to our roots, to those early days when we joined the industry and joined our firm, and focus on companies that are seed stage, early stage, great entrepreneurs. Our firms that we left, Excel and DFJ, were wonderful partners to work with and partnerships to work with and grow up in the industry. But they became large platforms, multi-stage, global entities. And we felt that working and focusing on the companies in the early stage was a really great opportunity for us. And we had a shared vision about that. So put the firm together and just launched in February. And we found that there was really a gap or an opportunity in between to take our 2 decades of experience and work with entrepreneurs to fill that gap in between these super angel funds and these large platform funds, where we can collaborate with both. We can both join a seed investment, or we can co-lead an investment or lead an investment alongside the larger funds. But we are a firm which understands the full range of company building and the different transition points that companies go through, which many of the super angel funds typically only invest in the first and second stage. And our plan is to invest in each stage throughout that full cycle. We're very experienced in taking companies public with the M&A, so we understand each transition point very well, and yet we can work with both groups and have done so for a very long time in our careers. One of the interesting dimensions, particularly at the early stage, is that it's typically, when you see a new company emerging, it's disrupting a category or an industry in a way that it has perhaps not changed for a very long time, sometimes 20 to 50 years. And so typically what happens is you may have disruption in one area for 3, 4, 5 years, and then disruption sort of migrates to other areas. And there's often reasons for that. So We looked a lot at nanotechnology when I was with DFJ, and really it never became a full category because ultimately the innovation permeated so many different industries and kind of grew up and really disrupted everything from cars and rocket chips to monitoring and even medical devices. And so you find that there's innovation that occurs in these categories, but then ultimately it grows up and then it migrates into other areas. And so it's very important to be flexible, and it's very important to be able to pattern recognize where you see emerging trends that are about to be disrupted and what problems that entrepreneurs are recognizing need to be solved and innovating around those areas. And it really does migrate over periods of time.